For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like the G3 Sportsman, featuring sturdy construction and superior features. These perfect fishing boats were designed with wide deck space, plenty of storage, and a smart layout. And they also deliver more fun per gallon than anything else on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
The following is a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.
You are watching the Sports Source Kickoff with John Pennington, presented by Madisonville Marine.
Good Saturday morning, good game day morning to you, and welcome into the Sports Source Kickoff presented by Madisonville Marine. Normally, we just preview that day's game, but I don't think you really want to hear about the third-string linebackers at Indiana State. So we're going to talk a little bit more Tennessee football from a big, tall, high viewpoint today, looking down on what we saw against Georgia Tech and how that might shape our views of how this season may come, may go, may play out. Let's dive right in. First segment of our program. I say dive, that's a water word, which ties into Madisonville Marine just fine. When it comes to finding the right boat for your needs, you just need to make one stop. Madisonville Marine has more different makes and models than any other boat dealer in East Tennessee. You get people that go there from Georgia, you get people that go there from Nashville. Why would you go that far to buy a boat? Because of the selection, because of the prices, because of 40-plus years of great customer service. Madisonville Marine, we thank them for bringing you this show every single Saturday. All right. Want to welcome in today's smaller panel. Usually we have 15 people on this desk, but today it's just the three of us. Jimmy Himes right here, former Will Overstreet right there. As I said, guys, most of the time we'll sit here, like next week we'll be talking about Florida. We'll talk about the Georgia game, preview those games. It's an FCS opponent. If something goes wrong today, then we'll worry about Indiana State tomorrow on the Sports Source. But I'm not going to spend the whole day talking Indiana State. I want to talk about where Tennessee is compared to where we thought they would be. One game down. There have been plenty of teams in this world whose worst game was their first one and then they moved forward and got better. But when you look at that defense and you look at what Bob Shoop has done, before I get you an answer, let me throw you some numbers here. My question is it Sincere Part 2? 14 of the last 27 foes for Tennessee have rushed for 180 yards or more. 5 of the last 9 foes have rushed for 350 or more. 4 of the last 8 have rushed for 400 or more. Now, this next number is wrong. It's misleading. It's not 6 of the last 8 foes. It's 6 of the last 9 foes. So it's not that much off. 6 of the last 9 foes have gotten 590 or more total yards, and 4 of the last 5 have gotten 600 yards at least on your defense. Gentlemen, I think most of us said 7 or 8 wins. Mm-hmm. If you continue to give up yardage like this defense did against Georgia Tech and like it has since last season, I don't think they can get to 7 or 8 wins. Your thoughts on what the defense looks like from a big picture view? Is it changing the way your outlook for the season is playing?
A little bit. When you go in, look, I realizing this is a triple option, then realizing Tennessee's got 2 starting linebackers out, I thought, okay, Tennessee will give up some yards. And I didn't think it necessarily would be fair to completely judge Tennessee's defense based on Georgia Tech. But I didn't see 535 yards coming. I didn't see 600-plus yards coming. So that gives me concern about Tennessee's ability to stop the run, whether it's a triple option zone read or a I formation. That's just, those numbers are a big concern to me. I did like the performance of several players, including Darrell Taylor, including Daniel Batuli.
Batuli really showed up.
Yeah. I thought he did. But overall, when I look at the run defense, I didn't think the tackles showed up much, and I have concerns about this defense going forward.
Well, if we talked before the show, if they'd given up 250 yards rushing, if they'd given up 300, heck, if they'd given up 350, you could say, well, it's the option. You're not going to face that again. You give up 535 in a game where you have planned all off season. How many times did Kirk Herbstreit say that last night? Oh, they worked on this all off season. And then you give up 535 yards rushing? Granted, you had some injuries. But 535? I mean, what are your thoughts on this defense?
Yeah, right now, I mean, there's no doubt. You have to throw a question mark beside it because when you see that kind of game, like we talked about, there's room for error and there's room for being over 180, being 250 even against a team like a option team. But when you see that many yards, that many missed tackles, it just didn't look good at all overall for the most part for that team. You had a couple of shining bright spots on that defense, but overall, when you're just looking at that, you're like, you know, you had a different scheme. We obviously know for this one game, and so it's not going to be the same defense in any other game. But still, just that many yards is just hard to swallow and say you've gotten better. And also, if you're going to be on the field 96 plays a game or that many games early in the season, it's not going to get better at your defense later in the year. Your guys are going to be worn out, and they're going to give up more plays and more yards. So you've got to figure out how to get less reps in these first couple of games.
Yeah, the defense wasn't helped by the offense either on Monday night. The first half they were hung out to dry. It was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and the defenders clearly got gassed. But still, Jimmy, at what point is this a pattern? I mean, we put those numbers up, option or no option, they're giving up yards left and right. Are we confident Bob Shoop knows what buttons to push and how to push them?
I don't know. If you went by his history at Vanderbilt, Penn State, you would say yes. If you went by last year in the Georgia Tech game, you would have a big question mark about that. The one thing that bothered me a lot, too, is that I thought that Georgia Tech at the line of scrimmage was beating Tennessee physically. And when you get into some SEC opponents that'll have, perhaps in some cases, bigger and stronger offensive lines, that's going to be a big problem for Tennessee. And look, I know Florida's offensive line looked like crap against Michigan, but what if they're able to run effectively against Tennessee? That's a concern. Now, they didn't have Jordan Scarlett, their best running back, in that opener, but that's a concern to me going forward about what I thought was a lack of physicality by this defensive line up front.
And then the thing that also causes worries, we talked about in our overtime segment after the Sports Source last week, and that is you're playing a team that's going to be so incredibly difficult to stop that run game. You can't afford to let a team that throws the ball 10 times get bombs over the head. You can't do it. And they did twice, and both times led to touchdowns. 5 completions for 120 yards. So when you look at that aspect of it, it's not just the run game. You had 2 deep balls over your head. What happens when you face an offense that can throw the football?
Right.
So I guess what I'm getting at is Philip Fulmer paid the price for hiring Dave Clawson. Derek Dooley paid the price for hiring Sal Sinceri or having him forced upon him. Is Butch Jones paying the price? I mean, is Shoop in that category? I don't think it's unfair to ask that question. What I'm debating is it fair to go ahead and say, yeah, he's in there? Do you put him in that category yet, or is that way stepping over the line here?
I still think he had his first year last year, right? And the stats are the numbers are the numbers. So it's hard to fall on the side of not being in that category at some point and halfway in, halfway out at the very least because of the numbers. But I think, can this team learn this defense and be better prepared for it this year? Like I said, that defense was much different than what they're going to run for the rest of the year. Well, let's take this next game and these next 2 games. I think by the Florida game, if you're seeing this continued pattern, I think you have to say, yes, we're in that boat right now.
I don't think they're in that boat at this point. And part of it is, at least under Shoop, they've had some good defensive games. Nebraska was one of them. So they had some games last year, and even though they had a slow start against Virginia Tech, they played really good defense against them. They played good defense against Florida in the second half. At least we've seen some glimpses.
Flashes.
I didn't see any glimpses with sincerity.
That's a good
so,
point. Yep.
So
or with Lawson.
Correct. So I do think that this is better than Sinceri, and I do think that Shoop has a much better handle on how to run a defense and coordinate it than Sinceri does. But the proof's going to be in the pudding over these next few weeks when they have to play Florida and Georgia and SEC teams later on.
And that's really where you're going to see it. Because, if Florida comes out and Georgia comes out and they get 250, 280, 300 rushing yards, that's when you're going to say, yeah, we're in that boat. Because, you have to eventually keep somebody under the 200-yard mark in the rushing game to be able to win one of these games in the SEC. Otherwise, you are going to get blown out.
Well, the problem is you kept Vandy under 200. They only ran for 190 or something last year, but you let them throw for 400. So I guess I'm more down on it than others are at this point. But to me, it's become a pattern since. And there were 4 or 5 games where he got run all over his last year at Penn State. But it's become a pattern when 4 of your last 5 opponents have gone for 600 total yards. That's pretty rough. I'm not even going to give them to the Georgia game. To me, if they come out and get run over by Florida, that would be, if I were Butch Jones, when I would have to start thinking about maybe changing some things.
That's a Florida team that ran for 11 yards against Michigan.
Yeah.
So if they come out and run all over you, that tells you all you need to know.
And Jordan Scarlett isn't that good.
That's right. He's
to
not
make up
Herschel
that
Walker,
kind of right.
Emmitt Smith. Yes. Yeah. All right. That's the defense. Clearly scary stuff in terms of moving ahead. We'll see what they can fix. What about the offense? That wasn't exactly the big play, well-oiled machine that I think a lot of people expected. Got better in the second half. Offensively, have our views on what this team can do changed? We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by my friends at Madisonville Marine.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like G3 John boats, built Gator tough. G3 Johns include all the features you could want from a workhorse boat. Massive live well capacity, lockable storage, even a midship fuel tank that allows for smoother running. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
From downtown to the duck pond, Broadway has about 30 traffic lights. In our 30 years, we've helped people hurt at most of these intersections, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
When it comes to your business, no one provides better security and life safety systems than Safety Systems. Protect your employees, your products, and your records with a single phone call. Professional technicians ready to design, install, and monitor your cutting-edge fire and security systems. Electric locks and surveillance cameras. Emergency and after-hours response and repairs. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and life safety systems.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff. This segment of our show brought to you by Chariots of Hire. Folks, if you're going to a UT football game, say today, or next week, the next week, or the next week, anytime this season you're going to a UT football game, do it upright. Don't just make it a game, make it an event, make it a lasting memory. Whether it's a sedan, an SUV, a limo, or motor coach, if you want to take a group out of town, Chariots of Hire, they're the folks to call. They handle the traffic. You and your friends just enjoy the ride. Chariots of Hire. Okay. Quentin Dormady got off to a pretty bad start, but he got better as the game went on. He owes big thanks, as does Butch Jones, to Marquez Callaway for the game he played on Monday night. But when you look at the offense, and we'll kind of take it spot by spot, we start at the quarterback. I thought the second half Dormady is something you can grow on, something you can live with. Maybe it was just getting the confidence going, but boy, that first half. Shaky. Your views on Dormady, have they changed at all after one game in terms of what you think he can do this year?
I thought he would look sharper. In the first half, he didn't play well, and I know he had 4 or 5 drops, depending on what you consider a drop. But he was 8 of 20 for 52 yards, and I didn't think he looked very comfortable. Second half, much better. But that first half, I thought, man, they're going to have a hard time coming back against Georgia Tech, because I didn't think he was playing very well, and he just didn't look settled to me for whatever reason. The second half, he did do a lot better. 12 out of 17, 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that is something to build on going forward. Maybe it was just first half jitters that he had. But I do think he has the ability. But he misfired on some passes too in that first half that were a little bit uncharacteristic to me.
Well, for a lot of people that had bashed Josh Dobbs, get rid of him. Let's really. Now you're going to see what. Now you'll see what the passer looks like. And Dobbs looked like the better passer compared to the Dormady we saw last night for much of the game. I think he can grow on it and build on it. But the idea that he's going to walk right in and be the next great UT quarterback, I think that got blown up a little too large with some folks out there. Will, your thoughts on the quarterback moving forward? What you saw last night, does that change in any way your views moving forward, or what you saw Monday night?
No, it really doesn't, because I think there's a lot of guys that have to go out on the field for the first time and be the number one guy and figure out and get their confidence of, I deserve to be the number one guy. And until you do that, until you make that one play or that one read or that one thing that kind of gets you back into, this is football, just go play ball, those nerves can be out there. And so I think for a lot of guys, it takes that first real successful play of earning that confidence to all of a sudden you see them go, okay, I know how to do this. This is football like it always is, and they go out there and play. So let's give him some credit and some time of maybe that's what it was, and you put that first half behind, and now he plays at a different level. I can give a guy that's his first start, his first big-time game, of saying, yes, you can struggle a little bit. I expected some struggles. You obviously would have liked him to be a little faster along that progression, getting better, but he did. And so I think you have to look at it and say from there, let's see where he goes from here, not just that first half. It'd been a lot different if he played well in the first half. In the second half, he came out fell off.
Yeah. You know? I did like that 93-yard drive. I think that may give him a lot of confidence. Now, Callaway had to make a heck of a catch during the course of that. Yep. But if you're the quarterback and you're in a situation where you have to lead a drive late in the game like that and you do it, I think that's got to help.
Yeah, and now you know if you're in that position again, you've got one in your hip pocket. I've done this. About the offensive line. Now, it was a makeshift line because you were without Drew Richmond. So put that in there. Tatum got the start. Kendrick moved from right to left. They didn't look good early, I didn't think. While Dormady wasn't getting hit, the pocket was collapsing around him early, which didn't help his early game jitters, I guess. But I thought the line got better as it went on, clearly. And John Kelly did a great job running the football, but they gave him some holes to run through. He ran over some guys, but they gave him some holes. Your thoughts, though, on the offensive line moving forward? There was a lot of thought that this is going to be the strength of the team, and then you had the lack of continuity in the offseason due to injuries and people in and out. You had the makeshift thing Monday against Georgia Tech. Do you feel good or bad about the offensive line, Will Overstreet?
I can't say you feel great about the offensive line, but I especially feel that when you realize that your best offensive lineman is your freshman. Trey Smith, dominant player. Showed last night in the first game, this is how you play offensive line in the SEC. This is how you play offensive line in big-time football. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You watch that guy for 2 seconds and you go, let's follow behind him a lot more. I think that's going to be part of the game plan from now on because he is at a different level than most of the rest of the guys on that team right now. And he hit the vision test he didn't get build up any confidence in his game. His game came out and said from day one, I'm the guy, and this is how it's going to be. So I was very impressed with that part. So to see one guy at least take that next step, hey, that's a good sign.
He also looked the part. I mean, just the simple eye test. Yeah. One guy looks like he's been there for a while rather than a true freshman. Yep. Jimmy, your thoughts on the O-line moving forward?
Based on Georgia Tech, not good enough. That was not a good enough performance. And yes, they did get better, but Georgia Tech was a team a year ago that had a lot of difficulty putting pressure on the quarterback. They had only 18 sacks all year. And John, you mentioned that while they weren't getting a lot of sacks, they were putting too much pressure on the quarterback. And I just thought up front they got whipped a few times early. As the game went on, they did get better. But they looked like a piecemeal offensive line, which to a certain degree they were because Drew Richmond was suspended. How much difference will he make? I don't know. But that performance by that group was not good enough going forward. I'm not talking about Indiana State. I'm talking about when you play Georgia and when you play Florida, when you play SEC opponents. They've got to get better.
The run game, very quickly, John Kelly had a great night on Monday night, terrific night. But you had Dormady keep it twice. You had Ty Chandler get one carry. Look, I'm all for giving Kelly touches because he's good.
Yep.
But he's not the biggest guy in the world. You're in the SEC. This might have been a one-time thing. And they were throwing because they were down and Georgia Tech was eating clock, so they couldn't run as much as they probably would. Had they run more, you might have seen other backs in there. But I think moving forward, they're going to have to get Chandler more involved or Fields Ami involved. You can't just have John Kelly carry 97% of your carries all year long.
No, you can't. But I tell you what, if your freshman comes in and runs that one play, he gets one, but he showed you why he should get more. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So, I mean, you look at that one play and you say, we need to get him more touches because you saw something a little special, a little different burst, a little different type of runner. I think that's a good sign to start opening up with. And, you know, a lot of times, I remember from my first experience that in the first game I played in at UT was, well, I got a lot of special teams and I got one play on defense. Now, the next game we played, I got 30 plays. It was to see, could I handle it? Could I make it? And, you know, so maybe that was the one test there that they go, okay, now we're going to start opening up and giving this guy a lot more responsibility with Chandler. So hopefully you see that. And also, I think it gives you a great opportunity to look at, if you got two guys like that, I always say it, two-back system, not a bad deal to run.
Here we go
it's
again.
Tough on defenses.
Where are you getting that from?
I have no idea.
Yep. Well, we'll see if that one plays out any better than it did last year on the two-back offense. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little Indiana State, a little bit. What does Tennessee need to leave today's game with? We'll discuss. Come on back.
When it comes to your home, no one provides better security and audio-video systems than Safety Systems. Control everything using your tablet or smartphone, whether it's a hidden TV or the temperature in your home. Lighting, doors that open and close, lock and unlock, cameras that allow you to watch your home from wherever you may be, all at the touch of a button. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and audio-video systems.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like Suncatcher pontoons, ultra luxurious, sophisticated, and stylish. You won't find a more family-friendly pontoon boat, all with cutting-edge technology designed to enhance the quality of your time on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
Two of America's busiest interstate highways intersect in Knoxville. Interstate speed keeps traffic moving, but it can also result in terrible wrecks. We've helped a lot of people hurt in these wrecks, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff. This segment of our program is brought to you by Lexus of Knoxville. Whether it's a new Lexus, a pre-owned Lexus, or a Lexus for lease, Lexus of Knoxville is a premier dealership right here in East Tennessee. The highest quality cars with the highest quality customer service. Visit lexusofknoxville.com to learn more. And again, check out those lease deals. Those are unbelievable at Lexus of Knoxville. I want to remind you, tomorrow, you can flip on over to Channel 6 from here at Fox 43. They're very nice to let me say that. But you can flip to Channel 6 for an hour, they would tell you. From 11 to noon, we'll be over there with the Sports Source. It'll be Shazan Bradley, Ryan Callahan, Chuck Cavallero, Sterling Hinton, Bob Hodge, Daniel Hood, Jimmy Himes, Will Overstreet, and myself. That's tomorrow on Channel 6 at 11 a.m. for the Sports Source. Also want to show you this. Indiana State. All right. Larry Bird's saying, shh, we can't play anybody that's in the FBS very well. The last 5 years, blown out by Minnesota last year, blown out by Purdue, blown out by Indiana. Had a close call against Purdue in 2013. Gave up 73 points to Indiana in 2013 and gave Indiana a game in 2012. Look, it's an FCS opponent. They lost. They're 0-1 on the season. They lost to Eastern Illinois another FCS opponent. Last year they were 4-7 at the FCS level. If they're out there running for 200 yards, you got serious trouble. So I'm not going to ask you how does Tennessee win or anything like that. I am going to ask, though, and I think some of these answers are obvious, what do you need to accomplish if you were Tennessee today? Or more specifically, what one thing do you need to avoid, which is injuries?
I would want to probably 3 things. One is to clean up some of the missed assignments, because Tennessee had plenty of those against Georgia Tech. Second thing is I want to get Jared Garantano some snaps at quarterback. I want to get a look at him. And then the third thing that you're leading to, get out of there healthy.
Yeah. Build yourself a big lead as early as possible, and then get your guys on the bench, because you've had so many injuries the last year and game that you just can't afford to lose anybody else at this point. Will, as a player, you had some of these cupcake games.
Yep.
Is the whole thing just let's not get injured?
It's not as a player. You can't go out there. But how do we get more guys into the game? I mean, you really understand that you go out, you take care of business. For a team, it's better for you because you want to get that second guy, the third guy in the game. Anybody you think may have to step up and be counted upon before the season's over, get them playing time. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. So establish the lead, get those guys in the game. Yes, get out uninjured. I mean, that's always the key there. And then, really for this defense, seeing how they're, this is a great practice or preseason game for not our option defense, but putting in our regular defense game. And you also want to see, because you really didn't get to see guys be able to pass rush in that last game, getting some work there as well, and some timing down on those kinds of things. But really and truly, the most important thing is anybody you think you're going to need, counting on for the season, potentially third string guy, second string guy, you're not having to burn a red shirt, get them in the game, get tape on them so you can coach them that next week and say, here's what you need to get better and improve on. That'll be a tremendous benefit to this team.
They need to build some confidence with some people, obviously. I think Dormady, he gained some confidence in the second half, you would think, but hopefully they can go out there and he can have a nice day, light it up, feel good about himself. You hope that defense, I mean, if there's ever a bunch that needs to have a good game, it's that defense. So you hope that they can get some good confidence going. And specifically on that defense, guys like Justin Martin. All you heard all offseason was he's fixed, he's turned it around, it's going to be great, and then he's yanked in the first quarter against Georgia Tech, a team that runs the ball all the time. But he's playing so far off the receivers that he's in another zip code. You can't just say, okay, well, you're done for the year. You're going to need that guy.
Yep.
So hopefully he can get out there and regain some confidence as well. When you look at this Indiana State team, what are you expecting in terms of Tennessee has played FCS opponents in the past and routed them. They should handle this team. But is there even just a flicker in your mind that, my goodness, this defense could struggle? Is there any chance you think Indiana State could? Because I'll be honest with you, with what I've seen, game after game after game, now going on 2 years, I wouldn't exactly be sitting there with my jaw open if they had a couple of drives.
I don't think you can. I mean, I think it's just like we talked about, as I said, when somebody said the offensive line was a strength, prove it. This defense right now, prove it. Prove you can stop anybody. Prove you can keep somebody under 180 rushing yards. I mean, until you do it, there's no tape, there's no facts, there's nothing to base my opinion on that says you can do it. So until I can see it,
right,
I can't say it. I'm just guessing and wanting. I'm wishing and wanting until you show me you can do it.
Yeah, they should shut down Indiana State without much problem. They should. But I'm not going to take anything for granted with this bunch after what I've seen.
Right.
I think that's fair. I think Indiana State's first game they lost to
Eastern Illinois.
Eastern Illinois was at 22-20. I think they lost on the last second play. But this is an opponent that you should dominate. But the things I'm going to be looking for as well, and it is a concern about the defense, and I don't know how good the quarterback is at Indiana State or in their personnel. They should not be able to hang with Tennessee. I want to see a little bit more physical play from Tennessee. We'd heard a lot about the offseason with the strength up front. I didn't see on display a lot in terms of the defensive line and offensive line being much stronger. It was not apparent to me last night. Maybe it was to other people, it was not to me.
Okay. Jimmy Himes, Will Overstreet, thanks for joining us today. Next week, we'll be talking a lot about Florida. It'll be your typical preview show. Thanks for being with us today on the Sports Source presented by Madisonville Marine. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. on WAT6 for the Sports Source.
This has been a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.